Ready. Play.
And that's the match I'd like to come to next. In fact, before I even come to that, I'm looking at 8 players on the screen right now, and one of them is going to be making the final. Greek sport Watanuki, Rune, Tsitsipas, Giron, although I should say Gidon, I think, shouldn't I? Fils, Paul, or Medvedev. And I guess we're sort of making Tsitsipas the favourite from that bunch of 8, despite, having never really got close to an Indian Wells final before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, confidence-wise, form-wise, the racket switch, everything seems to be coming together for him. I do think, obviously, there are also dangerous players there, but after Ruud lost, that was also like a really important one. Of course, Zverev too. But after that, you kind of just have to look at Tsitsipas and Medvedev as like the biggest names there. Steph would have been like before Dubai, he would have been nowhere near that conversation. But right now, we have to put him there. Of course, there's also Paul. Rune is somehow playing pretty well right now too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Tsitsipas has to be ahead of Medvedev simply on the basis of like confidence, form.
What is Tsitsipas's best run at Indian Wells? I'm going to just off the top of my head say
Quarter in
quarterfinal.
21,
Yeah.
I would say off the top of my head,
Does it?
the October
Yeah.
edition.
Does it surprise you that he's
A
never
little.
gone closer? Slow conditions shouldn't necessarily be against him. Although I do think that generally on a hard court, maybe he does favour the slightly quicker conditions, which I think Australia tends to be a bit quicker than the US, sort of over sort of a 10-year period. I know every year it still sort of
But he's
changes.
done well in Acapulco though.
Yeah.
Beijing, it's a little surprising. I would definitely say that. I think Tsitsipas either is like very good on very quick courts where he's just dominating with the serve and forehand, or on
Mhm.
very slow where like he's an all court player and like very all rounded there. But yeah, I do think he should have an Indian Wells run at some point. Maybe it's this time. And as much as we're kind of like seeing right now, I don't think the conditions are really any different or like that
No.
much different compared to last year. Even though that was of course something that before the tournament we were talking about a lot. But yeah, I think at this point I'm rating his confidence more than the past history.
Yeah, of course, not easy. Holger Rune up next, and then potentially, as we said before, Greek Spore in the quarters. But yeah, Holger Rune, the matchup there in terms of head-to-head certainly doesn't look like it's a great opportunity for Steph because he's 3-0 behind in the head-to-head with Rune. The most recent of which was indoor hard. In fact, the 2 most recent clashes were indoor hard. One in Stockholm in 22, and the other one at the ATP Tour Finals. But he did retire in that one, so it was not really a huge amount to go on there. The other one coming at Roland Garros. Who can forget that one? Was that maybe Rune's, breakout result in terms of sort of big wins and really putting him on the map? I do recall that one. Steph was cutting a very
It
forlorn
was an
figure.
important one for both, right? Because Tsitsipas from that bottom half was looking
Yeah,
like the favorite to make it again.
it
And
was a very lopsided draw that year, I remember.
yeah,
With Djokovic, Alcaraz, Zverev, and Nadal all in one half, and then the other half saw. I think it was Casper Ruud, wasn't it, getting to the final that year? But it was always likely to be. I mean, it was his half really that he kind of blew in a way. I mean, he gets it to 1 set all in that match against Holger in the 4th round, but then Holger pulls away from him somewhat surprisingly. Straight sets in Stockholm, and as I mentioned, he retired indoor hard. But they've not played each other for sort of 15, 16 months. So perhaps we can slightly put that aside, and they've not played on an outdoor hard either, and certainly not in Indian Wells. So we are leaning Tsitsipas, right?
yeah, simply on form. But I do think that Rune is obviously so talented, and we've seen what he can do at his peak, including these wins over Steph. So like, if there's someone on the way to the semis here that's gonna throw a big curveball to Tsitsipas, like that's Rune. Yeah. And
Sure.
very important for him to come through last night as well, because in these conditions he should be beating Humbert. I think he did, slow, bouncy, not really the Frenchman's best options, and he's also done decently well in Indian Wells in the past. Yeah, it's actually an unexpected danger in that Tsitsipas draw. That before the event you would have said, well, yeah, sure, if Rune gets to the 4th round, but at this point in time you just can't trust him to win even one match. Well, he's picked it up at least for 2 wins, and and this is definitely an opponent that I think Steph is not like comfortable against.
Obviously, both players getting a bye in the first round, with Rune then beating Mute in straight sets before that really pretty epic match he had last night against Humbert, winning in 3. Tsitsipas yet to drop a set in his 2 matches against Sabot Wild, which you would expect him to win that one probably without dropping a set. But looking very good against Berrettini, although I do think the quality from both players actually was not of the highest order. Steph did not have to bring his A game to win that for whatever reason. Matteo just wasn't feeling it or wasn't playing anywhere near his best yesterday. And I also saw those sentiments that I had shared on social media echoed by 1 or 2 Italian journalists too. So Stefanos is now into the 4th round. But the main reason I think we have a lot of faith in Stefanos right now is because of that Dubai run, right?
Yeah, Dubai run. I mean, you tell me if it's confidence or the racket switch. The stats seem to back it up. That
Return
the
position as
racket
well has
switch.
been highlighted, right? I think he's sort of generally staying consistently deep for return position.
I mean, that's going to be a court thing as well, I think, especially in Indian Wells, right? I mean, on clay, Steph likes to go very far back and just try to take as many returns as he can off the forehand. So I don't know if it's not something related to that too. But yeah, the stats in terms of the spin, the power on the backhand definitely seem to suggest that he has improved that since switching to that Babolat frame. Someone on my Twitter, like yesterday, I think commented that like Tsitsipas was also very confident in Australia against Mikkelsen and wasn't playing that well, and that's why it's definitely the racket. I don't agree that he was confident at all over the last like year or so. So I think for me it's like a combination of these 2 factors. We don't actually know if it's going to be also like a prolonged thing. I think it's very common that you get a new piece of equipment and you kind of start playing a bit better because you think that it's going to help you, and it can be
What
a
do you
bit of
call
a
it?
placebo effect, right?
Yeah, placebo, exactly. Yeah.
So
Just what
maybe
about
it's
Dubai?
that, but
What about Dubai and Indian Wells? How do they compare in terms of speed, more or
they
less?
don't. They don't at all.
Okay. Okay, so Tsitsipas obviously a fast hard court there, and probably why we've seen Felix, contrasting results in those 2 tournaments, going out early. Just thinking of Felix because, of course, that was Stefanos' final opponent. But we're both going for Tsitsipas to beat Rune, right?
Yeah, I think it would be unwise right now to not to side with Steph. That's simply all I have to say. But it is a dangerous opponent for sure.
Definitely. I mean, neither of us would be surprised if Rune emerged with a 2 or even 3 set win there. But yeah, I'm going to go Stefanos. Maybe in 3, he might just drop a set en route to the quarters for the first time in this tournament. There is one thing I just want to add to Tsitsipas and what you said earlier about feeling confident. Well, his post-match press conference in Australia was like, I don't know if you can relate this to confidence, but confidence and effort sometimes are related. And he's like, I just don't sort of know where I am. And I think there was a ball or 2 that I remember watching that match live against Mikkelsen where it was like, oh, maybe I thought he would have chased that one down, but he didn't. And afterwards in the press conference in Australia, he was saying like, I just don't really know where I am right now. I don't know where my motivation is. And that seemed to be a sort of rock bottom for him. And maybe just saying those words and getting it out in the open could help free him from some shackles that he may have felt. I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't say that he's been feeling confident all year.
Yeah, looks like he actually has found that motivation, and
Yeah.
good for him. I don't know if it's going to turn him into like a slam contender again. There's still a couple of names on tour,
Yeah.
Sinner and Alcaraz, that might have a say in that.
Yeah.
But for now, he definitely looks like someone who can win this event. And also, the clay season is coming. He's usually super strong there, and he's taking some pressure off himself by
Definitely.
having this run.
I mean, maybe, just may. I'm just thinking of an Alcaraz Tsitsipas final. Just maybe, he could just play freely. Probably the first time they met in Roland Garros in 23, but also those 2 matches in Barcelona in 22 and 23, I think it was. Maybe he felt a bit of pressure. Certainly the first couple of matches, I'm the big guy, I'm the established guy, I should be winning this. And when he doesn't, it must have been pretty demoralizing. And then he probably every other match against Alcaraz since then has been like, oh, I'm just going to lose this. And he pretty much rolled over one way or another in all of those. Rolled over might be a bit strong. He just didn't have any answers. Maybe, I know this is Alcaraz's domain, maybe more than any other court on the planet right now. But maybe it could and should be a chance for Tsitsipas to at least play him in a different environment than those Barcelona and Roland Garros matches that are so indelibly marked on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it will be a different environment. We're kind of clutching at straws, but
We are, because this is also an amazing, maybe better environment for Carlos than Roland Garros and
yeah.
Barcelona even, but yeah, straws are being clutched at. I'm actually quite pleased for Stefanos. I'm not always, big on him, but actually, when I see somebody, same with Casper. So probably 1 or 2 years ago, you'd have heard me say stuff about Casper being a bit fortunate to be in Grand Slam finals, etc. But these guys are trying things, and I think that's what we want to see. And Stefanos is certainly trying. Okay,
Yeah,
let
same. I've like given Tsitsipas the you'll never win a slam
sure.
many times, but like I am happy to see this run. And yeah, when someone is just like finding his game again and reminds you what sort of a class player he can be on his day, yeah, it's super entertaining to watch.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.